Hello, welcome to the Rangers Rabble. This is your pre-match build-up to the SPFL. I don't even know. I always call it SPL still, but I guess which Scottish Premiership. Build-up between Ross County and Rangers. Got lots to talk about with the team. Maybe a few surprises in there. So we'll get to everything today. I am joined by Craig. Craig, how you doing?
All good, mate. All good, thank you.
Graham, how you doing?
Not too bad. I woke up with someone a wee bit of cold, but apart from that, I'm looking forward to watching Rangers.
And like most of the Rangers team playing with Roofe today, who are going to be a first time, we've got Connor. Connor, how you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. Looking forward to what I'm hoping will be a very good, very comfortable 90 minutes up in Dingwall.
Let's hope so. Let's hope so. Well, let's jump straight into. I should say hello to all the chat first because they're obviously one of the most important facets of this pod. So how's everyone doing? I can see loads of the usual suspects in here as always, which is great to see. Always good to come back onto YouTube and see everyone there. I can see Stephen, Gaza, Paul, even our very own Robert Clark is in the chat as well. He just bought a hat, by the way, Robert, that I really wanted. So I should never have told him about the website I was buying hats from. He's absolutely stole that one off me. So onto the team then, Craig. We'll put it up down the bottom just now. And we have got Jack Butland in goal, back four usually, of James Tavernier, Connor Goldson, John Suter and Warner Barisic. Got midfield three of Lundstrom, Raskin and Cantwell, it seems. Not too sure on the formation. It's probably going to be a narrow one with the players, but it seems to be Sam Lammers, Kemar Roofe, and Cyril Dessers up top. We've done the back 4-5 to death, I think. So we'll start past there and we'll build our way up. John Lundstrom is the man that comes in today in midfield. I think that tells us all that Ryan Jack is probably going to start against PSV. What's your opinion on John Lundstrom starting today? I mean, he's a player that probably isn't in high praise right now with Rangers fans. In saying that, I thought he actually come off the bench and done really well the other night. But that's a sort of 15-20 minute cameo. He's obviously going to have to. Basically got to be no mistakes because Lundstrom is probably on his last legs, probably past that if we're honest with most of the Rangers fan base. So, what's your opinion on John Lundstrom coming in today?
Yeah, I'm not too fussed about it. These are the sort of games where if you've got a perceived bigger game coming up, you can bring the likes of Lundstrom and Balogun in that have sort of been there, done that in the past. I thought he played again reasonably well on Tuesday night when he came on. It does tell me, however, that obviously Jack and Cifuentes are probably then likely to start on Wednesday if they're both on the bench today. In all honesty, no disrespect to Ross County, but we should be able to play John Lundstrom today and still come away with a comfortable win. So I'm not too bothered about him playing. Raskin for me is sort of very important in that midfield, and then I actually don't mind Cantwell playing a bit further back. I think he links the midfield and front 3 or 4 quite nicely.
Yeah, he does. I think it's something we've touched on before, Connor. That Cantwell seems to be able to play in a multitude of positions. You know, he could probably play the 6 if we really needed him to, but he can certainly play the 8 and the 10. So, how important is it for you that Cantwell pretty much starts every game for Rangers, which is what seems to be the case because he's, you know, we saw in PSV that he leads the press when he's further forward. He gets stuck in. He's someone that I think I didn't see who it was, but someone was just saying they were a bit worried about Lundstrom slowing the play down. But Cantwell won't do that. If a game is slowing down, you know he's the one player that will put himself about the pitch and try and sort of fire the guys up. And I think Raskin's a little bit similar to that as well. So it is important that we don't burn these guys out, but as much as we can, we use them.
It was up to me.
Yeah,
sorry,
no,
Connor.
I think Cantwell's.
Oh, is Connor on a delay?
Sorry. I think Cantwell, obviously, he's kind of the main.
Right. I'm just going to drop Connor out for 2 seconds because we're having technical difficulties. I'm having technical difficulties even saying that. Graham, same question to you.
Yeah, I think Cantwell is one of our key players. We've seen in midweek against PSV, he's involved in everything. Kind of, as long as he's playing central or kind of got a freedom to go wherever he wants, that's where I like him the most. So I think he's going to have the license with Lundstrom behind him and Raskin beside him to be the one that kind of joins the front three. So for me, I'm happy with that selection, and just as long as the players cover his when he leaves to go forward, just as long as he's covered, so it stops counter attacks. But like we say, Cantwell is one of our key players. He gets it. You see him on social media and stuff like that. He's interviewed the other night there as well. It's great to hear someone talk about our club like that. That's just came in really for 6 months. So he's definitely a key figure, and I think he will be probably one of the match winners today.
Yeah, for sure. And it's, as I say, he's a bit of a walking booking as well, isn't he? But so we've got to be careful of him missing certain games. But I think he's one of these guys you definitely have to keep in. I think we've got Connor's just going to refresh his. Like Aldo saying there, Connor's borrowed Wolf's Wi-Fi. So he's going to refresh and come back in for us. So I'll take the next question back to Craig then. Nicola Raskin, of course, is sort of partner in crime for Cantwell, and he is someone I think we all see as a key figure in the future of this club in midfield, for as long as we can keep him at least. Where are you seeing Raskin in terms of, I guess, what do you want to see from Raskin? Because I know it's easy to sort of fall in love with the romance of, he's clearly a very good player, and he clearly at a young age will go on to hopefully make us a lot of money. I pointed out before, and I got absolutely slaughtered in the comments, but I feel like he is a bit sloppy in possession at times. He does give the ball away a bit too. I like that he always plays forward pass. I want to preface it by saying that, because he will always try and find the right pass. He doesn't sort of the classic Borna Barisic turning back and passing. He won't play an easy pass. He will try and move it quickly, and he'll try and get us up the pitch, which I love. So you are going to get a degree of him giving the ball away. That is natural. But sometimes it does seem to be a sort of maybe just a little lack of concentration from him at times.
Yeah, I think it's probably, I mean, he's been here sort of 6-7 months, but I think it's probably still a little bit of getting used to the game. He's probably thinking he's got a bit more time than he actually has on the ball, especially against some of the teams, the sort of 2 or 3 around him. I absolutely love Raskin. I think he can play where we want him to, really. If he needs to play a 6, he can do that. If he needs to play an 8, he can do that as well. To sort of link the back 4 and the front 3 or 4. I just think he can basically do whatever he wants to do. I am also a little bit concerned about his playing possession, and his passing isn't always there. But I think that's probably where he's still getting used to new players coming in and their movements. I think that's something that can hopefully easily be worked on.
Yeah. So we've got Connor back. Hopefully it's weird on the way we stream these. It seems whenever you have 4 people on, someone's Wi-Fi will just take a hit every time. You 3, it will go perfect, but someone's Wi-Fi just gets to take a hit. It's usually Scotty's or Wilf's, as people point out in the comments. So just come back, Connor. We've obviously touched on Raskin and Cantwell now, but I want to bring this comment up from channel member Stephen. He said, is there anybody else that would like to see Royce have Lundstrom's spot on the pitch, or more likely, or I guess, the more likely of the 2, Jack's spot on the bench? Obviously, Declan, Jesus Christ, Declan Rice. Bailey Rice is obviously a big hope for the future, and I think it's a nailed-on certainty that he is going to get minutes over the course of the season. It's obviously about managing him at such a young age. Do you think early on, even this stage of the season, I mean, it is Ross County, and obviously no disrespect to him, but it's a game we should be winning. Would you like to see him on the pitch? Do you think with Jack, Cifuentes, the fact that we can drop players back in, that we maybe don't need to have Brian Jack's spot on the pitch or Cifuentes' spot on the bench, and we could have Royce on there for, if it does go very well today, we could then get him minutes.
Yeah, I mean, look, I can see that point. Obviously, if it started to go well and you maybe got comfortable in the game, and then you could look and go, right, okay, he can get minutes. But, having played one away game and lost it, I think for today anyway, it was important to make sure we went there with a strong squad as we could, to make sure we get 3 points, because look, you're right when you say, Stu, that we should be beating Ross County, but to give them a bit of respect, they're also not mugs either. You know, we have had difficult games up there. And I just think if it was to be, you know, 0-0, 1-0, tight affair, get into that last 20 minutes, I would much rather see Ryan Jack, as it will be today, coming on off the bench than Bailey Rice. And that's just, there's nothing against Bailey Rice because I think he's a smashing player for the future. But I think games like this maybe aren't the ones you would pick to put him in. I think you'd maybe look at cup games, you know, as the season goes on, you'll have the Scottish Cup and things like that to play. Those are the games to look at because there's going to be a lot of games for the club to play this season.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've got like 3 players I still want to touch on. We should be able to squeeze it all in, but I do want to bring this question up because I think it's a perfect question for Graham, who loves the sort of tactical side of the game and the roles, especially when we're giving them American roles, which is what David P's done here. Unfortunately, when Lundstrom plays in that central quarterback role, he's the most important player at dictating the tempo of our play. More often than not, he slows it down to a snail's pace. What do you think of that sort of comment there, then, Graham? Because you know, Raskin and Cantwell being in there, they're both players that are certainly capable of pushing up the pitch and getting further. Obviously, Raskin will more likely of the 2 drop back to help out when needed. But, you know, it says to me that we are going to be camped in their half. We're going to try and keep players up the pitch as much as possible. So Lundstrom will be not only covering the fullbacks going forward, but he is going to, you know, that sort of quarterback role, that deep line playmaker, if you will. I don't like associating that term to Lundstrom, but he is going to be dictating a lot of the tempo today.
Yeah, I totally agree. I noticed David's comment and when you were talking about there. But for me, Lundstrom, I think you're going to see him drop him to make it a back 3 to try and get Tav and Borna up higher to provide the width. But like David P says there, he needs to be kind of spreading the play a lot quicker, and the long switches of play to try and get 1v1s. But that's where we're probably touching on it later. There's not many players that like the 1v1. They kind of like to move, so it's not going to like your Matondo or your Sakala anymore and stuff like that. They can get 1v1 out wide. So I think it's going to be a wee bit central based. So it needs to be quick between Lundstrom, Raskin, Cantwell, and I think it'll be Lammers. It'll be the number 10. So it needs to be kind of quick, but Lundstrom needs to dictate that, like David P says, and be the quarterback. Yeah,
Sean. I think. Listen, I wouldn't even say I love-hate relationship with Lundstrom. Obviously, I've been one of those people back in the removal of Lundstrom from the team plenty before. But listen, he like Borna Barisic, he's someone that frustrates me. But Borna Barisic had a tremendous start to the season. I think Lundstrom, at least in a 15-minute spell, showed that there's still something there. But yeah, there's no way he cannot put in one of his sort of half-assed performances today. It's got to be, you know, the Lundstrom I saw when he turned out, even when it wasn't going well for him, he sort of moved the play quickly. That's what I actually liked about Lundstrom, was that he didn't waste time on the ball. He'd get it, he'd move it. And then that just completely left him after that European run. But we'll see. We'll see today. It's like Craig said before, it's a game that he should be able to come in because we've seen enough of Lundstrom to know that he can play to a level. It's just we haven't seen enough of it in the past year. So it's going to be very difficult. But he's on the pitch and we just got to get behind him for now. Moving up the pitch then, Craig. Well, moving on to sort of that front 3, I'm going to save the surprise inclusion, I guess, for last. Sam Lammers comes back into the squad today, a player that sort of had my heart from the first pre-season game because I thought this is Dennis Bergkamp reincarnated. And I said in the chat, he's become a bit like Nicholas Bentner at the start of the season. I don't know what's happened to him. He shows enough, though. I think when he's come off the bench, had a few nice touches, he's obviously scored that goal on the follow-up, which is something I did want to point out on Michael Beale's team because I have been someone that's been a bit underwhelmed so far this season in certain games. But what I do like is the team are all very on it in the area in terms of picking up loose balls. Every single person seems to react quickly to a loose ball, which I think is something we never usually do. And Lammers is one of those guys. Lammers is someone that I think, a bit like people say about Raskin, he's a bit ahead of the play sometimes. You need the other guys around him supporting him because he'll play these 1-2 touch passes, the very intricate stuff we used to see from sort of Kent and people like that. He can play those sort of, you know, give him the ball, he'll take it. He might even turn a guy just in that one movement, but he wants to release that ball again quickly and move on. He wants that play to be sped up. So it's important. Cantwell, Raskin, even Dessers and people like that, when they're dropping off, they're getting in and around Lammers to sort of make him his most effective.
Yeah, and I think he hopefully will have learned from Rugby Park in that he's not going to have a lot of time on the ball, similar to Raskin. I think early on against Kilmarnock, he had a couple of tough tackles and he seemed to go into his shell a little bit in the game. And that's obviously not what we want from him today. We want him to take that on and put in a really good performance. I'm a big fan of Lammers. Obviously, when he came in, everyone's focus was on his stats and that he hadn't scored a lot of goals, but they were assuming he was that he was a number 9, which obviously he's not a number 9, and he's had a couple of disrupted seasons. So I really like the look of him, and hopefully get him a little bit of time on the ball today. And use those players around him like Dessers and Roofe. Roofe being quite intelligent and being able to drop and go when he needs to. We'll hopefully see a good performance from Lammers, and I'm hoping a couple of goals. And you're on mute.
Oh, God's sake. I vowed never again. It's Martin telling us always to put ourselves on mute, Connor, as the sort of the new guy on the pod, then what's been your take so far on Lammers from obviously bringing him in? Listen, I'll be honest, I felt like we were going to get a player because we got him from Atalanta. Cheers, Aldo. Absolutely ruined it there. But yeah, I felt like we were getting a player because Atalanta don't tend to sign too many bad players. I didn't worry about his stats too much, but I did wonder sort of as a bit of an outlay, what sort of player are we getting? And as I said, I fell in love with him after the first game. What's been your sort of journey with Lammers in terms of what you've seen in pre-season, what you've seen at the start of the season, and where you see him as a player for Rangers going forward?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I wasn't overly enamoured when we announced his signing, because you just had to look at his stats really over the last couple of years in terms of his goal scoring. He hasn't scored a lot of goals, but pre-season he started to sway me a bit with some of his performances. I think though since the start of the season, I'm just not sure. I feel like he's been played out of position. I don't feel he should be getting played wide because he's a striker. That's what he's come in to the club as a striker, and Michael Beale's sending him out wide. And for me, I think there's a player in there. I just don't think he looks all that comfortable at times playing in that position, which is why I'm going to be very interested to see what happens today, because arguably we've actually got 3 natural strikers starting on the park today with Dessers, Roofe and Lammers, who at one point or another would be number 9s in their own right. I think Lammers, he's got to, if he gets a couple of goals under his belt, maybe a few good games, some assists and stuff, that will start to build his confidence. And I think that's what he needs. Because I'm not 100% convinced by him just yet. I'm waiting to see a little bit more out of him than what we've seen so far, really.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think he's got the talent. I think we'll see him more in a 10 role for his Rangers career, especially with the strikers we've signed. But yeah, absolutely, he's definitely got the ability there. We certainly need to see a little bit more. But it's early days, so once these guys gel and they get on the run, you don't know. You could become so pivotal for us. I did see someone say that Dessers needs a goal. I mean, I'd love Dessers to get a goal, but if he gives us another 2 assists, I won't mind that either, to be honest. As long as the team are scoring, it doesn't matter. I don't need a 30-goal striker if everyone's banging in 15, 20. Let's have a look at the comments. A couple of system comments. I'll bring them back to Graham in a minute. Cyril Dessers then, Graham. He certainly seems to be Bill's favoured choice so far in that number 9 role. We saw Danilo got sort of one shot at it. It didn't quite come off in Servette for him, but he did sort of get the go when Dessers come off for him. Of course, when he scored against Livingston. So we know that Danilo has talent. Dessers is certainly split opinion between the fan base in terms of the fact that he's not looked completely up to it yet. He's he's looked unfit, and I'm glad he's come out and said he's not 100% fit, because that's what he's looked. He has looked unfit. He's someone that his touch has been a bit rotten at times, and he's, I like that he closes. He does a bit like Cantwell. He leads the press a lot, but that can't be his only attribute, is that he chases people down. He's but then you see little glimpses of him. The 1-2 he played with Cantwell that got him in behind, where the keeper tipped it onto the post. He's obviously set up 2 goals against PSV that basically put that tie in the balance. And the second was an absolute peach of an assist. And I felt in that game you were starting to see his touches were a bit more secure. His movement was better. And I think he is now, we're starting to see the close to 100% Dessers. Now, if we see if Dessers gets back to 100% and he's still, he's not doing enough, then obviously it's going to end up being a failure of a signing. But I think he's proven enough that he can be a big player over time. And this, although we don't really give our players time, and certainly not when we want this league title back desperately, but I think he's someone that if we stick with, he is going to come up trumps for us.
Yeah, I'm glad he came out, like you said, and said he wasn't fully fit, because that was a worry for me, because when you watch the YouTube clips and stuff like that, he looked a lot more leaner and he was getting about the pitch a lot better for me. But so hopefully that's still to come. But for me, I still want more from him. His off the ball movement, I don't think it's very good. I think Super Ali said it in the commentary as well. When with the ball down the right hand side, he was away over on the left hand side. So I think he needs to work on that and make sure he's over the right side where the ball is. So we've got that out ball, the through ball to him to keep possession a wee bit better. Obviously, that was a tough game on Tuesday against. A lot of people were saying they were a good side, but I think they were just decent, to be honest. I don't think they were too good. So I'm expecting to see a lot more from him today, and hopefully he can get a goal to provide confidence. It's a weird one, though, because we always said that Kent needs to get more numbers because he's got the player, but whereas Desser's getting the numbers, whereas a lot of people aren't too happy with him, including myself. So I'll give him a wee bit of leeway still, although I need to see more. But I think with him and I think Lammers, for me, we were talking about him a wee bit earlier there, I think he could probably be a better link man than Dessers, and then we could play Danilo up front. So I'm hoping in the future we can get to see that a chance, because I think that could work better for the squad. But Dessers, if he can get a goal or an assist today, that would be great, and the 3 points and basically up down the road.
Yes, I'm conscious that time is actually getting away from me. I didn't even realise. Just this what happens when you speak rages, you just get so into it. So I'm going to really quickly go to Craig and get his opinions on Kemar Roofe coming in from the cold, and injury and everything else. What are you expecting of Kemar Roofe today? Because I think someone put it, is it Penna Cartel on Twitter? I think he said, Kemar Roofe is a player that we wouldn't be surprised if he scores 2 today, but we also wouldn't be surprised if he goes off injured after 15 minutes, which I think sums it up pretty well. Were you surprised, though, by his inclusion over maybe Danilo?
Yeah, I'm surprised. I think I said before that I'm hoping it's not going to be one of those situations where we all sit here and in a year's time look back at where were we when Kemar Roofe played his one game of the season up at Ross County. I am surprised, but also because he's not in the European squad, that might have also influenced Michael Beale, that he sort of wants to play him in the league and give him minutes. I am surprised that Danilo isn't playing. I think it's the 3rd game in a row he's not started, which for me is a little bit of a worry. We've obviously paid as much as we have, and also the fact we've only got 3 of the 9 summer signings starting is also a little bit of a worry, obviously for one reason or another. But I would have expected to see Danilo starting maybe and Roofe being on the bench to come on a little bit later. So I am surprised to see Roofe being thrown in from the start.
Yeah, sure. I wanted to dedicate quite a bit of time to Roofe, but we could do that in the post match. Connor, then go on really quickly. Can you give me your concern, or maybe not concern, about Danilo? Like Craig said, it's sort of 3 games in a row now that he's not started. I think Robert said in the chat that the 6 minute, I don't know, he obviously was expensive. He was an expensive signing. He's sitting on the bench. Are you too concerned about that, or that maybe looking at it more in a positive way, that we're getting other guys minutes when they need it, and Danilo can sort of give us real quality from the bench? And if you could also end it with your match prediction and first goal scorer, and everyone in the chat, if you can throw in your match predictions, please.
Okay. Well, I think with Danilo, I'm not too concerned, because the reality is that's what you've got a squad for. And I think, Michael Beale had said during the week in one of his press conferences about that Danilo had just settled into a new house and stuff like that in Glasgow, and he's expecting that he can now focus fully on his football. So I think that tells you that the manager's maybe not been as happy as he could be with the performance levels so far. But there's obviously reasons for that. So I just think give it a bit of time, let him bed himself in properly. Because it's good to see, I think it's good to see Roofe today getting a start. I've called for him to start for a while. I thought he should have started against Morton last week at home. I didn't see a reason not to do that. But instead he's going to start today. So let's see what he can, because he'll give us something different. I think most of us would agree if he's fully fit, he's arguably the best pure finisher. So I think for me, I don't have a problem with it. In terms of prediction for the day, I'm going to go 3-0 Rangers with Cyril Dessers getting a brace, because why not?
Love that. Absolutely love that. Graham, prediction and first goal scorer, please.
I'm going to go 3-0 as well, and I'm going to go Lammers, but I think Roofe will get 2 because he's got quite a good record up there. So I think that's another reason why he's starting today.
There we go. And Craig, finally.
Well, I was going to go 3-0, and everyone's beating me to that score. So I'll go 4-0 Rangers, and I will go Dessers to get the first goal.
There we go. That's the predictions. I'm just going to go super positive for once, because I'm actually a bit worried it's going to be a bit like this, if I'm completely honest. But I'm going to go super positive. I'm going to say 5-0 Rangers. And I think Todd Cantwell will get the first goal. There we go. Caroline coming in at the last second with a prediction there, 2-1 Goldson. I hope not, Carol. I hope we win, but I just hope it's not that close, because I can't handle it already this early in the season, especially with Wednesday night coming up. But that is it. We'll let you run away quickly to get set up for the game. Come back here straight after, because we will be live for the post-match reaction. Thank you to Craig, Connor and Graham. Thank you to all the chat. If you can, like and subscribe and all that good stuff, we really do appreciate it. But until the post-match, we will see you very, very soon. Cheers.